A bit of a strange one, but we've got our 3 points. I'm not really sure what to make of that game. It was messy, it was strange, it was weird. The weather was terrible. Even playing half a match with one player extra, we still didn't finish off the game and show domination before we went level with 10v10, which is just a really strange feeling. I'm all for getting the 3 points, great, and the league table is looking better today, which is nice because now, yes, I know Bournemouth are playing today as I'm talking. Arsenal already third, but it only puts us 3 points off. Well, not even 3 points. Well, 3 points off second place, but now we're within striking distance of Champions League places. And yes, it's still early, but the most important thing right now is to stay there or thereabouts. That's what we're going to be looking at and hoping for. And as I've said on some previous videos, or maybe on one of my shorts, if we can get to a position to a transfer window and we actually say, right, we're going big now, we're going to get Belieber and Anderson from Forest or the lad from Palace, and then we've got a new midfield what can actually play the way that Amorim's trying to impose this style of play, this system of play. So look, it could have been a lot worse. I've got a feeling, and not just looking by the stats, but I've got a feeling if Chelsea didn't get a man sent off in the 5th minute, the goalkeeper Sanchez, they would have dominated us more and we would have struggled to get a point, although it would have still been a very good point. So we've been really fortunate here, but I'll take that. Amorim's been really fortunate. And I just feel that he could have also managed the game a bit better. For example, and I always mention this just for anyone who knew was watching, but from being a coach from professional clubs before, you've already got a plan of how to manage the game depending on what happens throughout the game. And, well, what we used to do, and I'm guessing staff and clubs with more facility and resources than us can do it even better. But we used to get a big whiteboard out. We've got our team, we've got their team on the whiteboard, and we're saying, right, what could potentially happen through the game? Right, we could get a man sent off. What's going to happen? How are we going to change it? They could get a man sent off. And then you do that scenario for the different timings throughout the game, which is what happened with United. Now, yes, I just feel like even when Chelsea, as soon as they went down to 10 men, and they wasn't shy about changing it around straight away. I was a bit confused with Conor Gallagher on whether or not, I mean, his reaction suggests that he wasn't injured, but they made massive changes right off the bat. I was like, wow, okay, right. He's obviously got his whiteboard and he's changing things around. Fair play. But I still didn't think that we took full, yes, we went in halftime 2-0 up, but I didn't think that we took full onus of the game with that advantage. I think we could have done more. And I think it was just like a natural momentum of having that one player advantage. And I just didn't think we made the most of it. And when from then 2-0 up, okay, and was at end of the first half, Casemiro gets sent off. But with 2-0 up, we've got a man advantage. Right then, I'm going back to my whiteboard situation. I'm thinking, right, okay, Casemiro's central midfielder. He's probably one of the most tenacious midfielders or players we've got still on the pitch. He's going to get involved in more conflict, and he's already on a booking. It's almost like a free bet. You can take him off, replace him straight away, even with Ugarte. It's all right. And then I just feel then, yes, we've still got the 3 points in the end, but I just feel we would have managed the game better. We would have kept that extra player advantage throughout the whole game and possibly won by a bigger margin. So the way it ended, you can just see here with the momentum from around, from around 60 minutes of the match, Chelsea just in control. And again, I mentioned this before, it seems like we're great on the counter. It's great when we have some high tempo combinations, but we can't control momentum and we can't control possession. A little bit like past England teams, right? When we played the bigger teams. And you can see from the momentum, like Chelsea came back into the game when it was 10 on 10, which leads us to think if it was still 11v11, it would have been a very different story and that we were fortunate. And look, some people don't read into stats, but it does tell part of a story. We got the 3 points, so stats don't really matter. However, when you're looking at patterns for what could happen in the future, it plays an important part. So you can see, like, they still had the best ball possession, most ball possession, even though, yes, we had a momentum in the first half because they were down to 10 men. But it just still tells a tale that we were very fortunate, and we've got to be looking if anything is going to actually change. I mean, you would hope it will. Now, I think we've got past the hard part now. I think we've got a clearer run, which I'd expect Le Mans to then probably slip into goal now. So if we're looking now, upcoming fixtures, Brentford away, it's not going to be an easy one. Then we're at home against Sunderland, then we've got the big one against Liverpool. So if we are going to put Le Mans in, probably it'll be a kind of timing to put him in against Brentford. And I'm not saying that Brentford won't cause us problems, because they're a good team, especially at home. But if we are going to actually integrate him at some point, this could be a perfect time. But that's for later on that topic. It's just going back to the match. Yeah, Chelsea then dominated. Look, we had more shots because we played most of the game with the extra player, which is to be expected. But accurate passes, Chelsea were better than us, 85% to our 79%. Now, passes in the opposition half, 207 to our 155. So again, it just shows where they had the possession, where they had the majority of the passes as well. They won more duels than us, only just. And look, we knocked Fernandes, but he continues to be one of our better performers. But it just shows with the momentum and the feeling that we were still under pressure when every time Chelsea attacked, we defended well, and you could see there was actually kind of fighting for Amorim this time, which is great. But you could just see that we're still really unsteady. And guess what? We conceded yet another goal from the wide areas. We still can't defend crosses. And when you got Reece James, what is probably one of the best crossers now, the ball, one of them in the Premier League, immense. Why are we giving him that time to whip in the ball, whip in the cross? Again, just like Grimsby, we conceded from 2 crosses. Just like Fulham, we conceded from a cross as well against Fulham. And it's like, can't we do the basics? As defending wide areas, you've got to put pressure on the ball first off. Then you've got to delay. Then you've got to reorganise, and then you've got to defend. But most of all, defending the wide areas, you've got to block the cross, if anything. If we are going to get the crossing, you've got to block it, especially with someone with the quality of Reece James. And we didn't. So I'm wondering now, is this going to be a turning point? But the way we manage the game and the performance where we're on the same amount of players suggests that I don't feel we have positives. We've got Cunha back now, made an appearance, which is great. We've got Mount, which is back. Sanchez still hasn't scored a goal. And look, like, he had a good flick on header. And you can say, yeah, but he hasn't really been given a chance. But he started again. And he played a full half against 10 men, which could have been more difficult for him because they were more defensive-minded, Chelsea were. However, look, he was in against Grimsby. Was in, I think, against Burnley for a bit. And now this. And he still hasn't got off the 0 mark. He still hasn't got the elephant off his back. He still hasn't broke his duck. Where again, Ekitike, total different class. You watch Ekitike, and I know he's surrounded by different players, different environment and dynamics, but you watch Ekitike, he's floating on air. And his little touch, just before he scored that goal, his little touch was world class compared to Sesko. And it just shows the quality where Liverpool have paid that amount, which was slightly less than Sesko, and he's hit the ground running. He's on 4 goals already, I think 3 or 4 goals. And Sesko just looks like he's a level below. I won't put Ekitike as world class, but he's top quality. And I'm putting Sesko right now, what I've seen in a United kit. I'm not talking about in in the German league. I'm talking right now in the Premier League. He looks like the next level down. I hope it. I'm really gunning for him. I'm really, supporting him and wanting him to do well. But I just see that he's not the level of Ekitike and especially not Isaac. Isaac. I used to have a player called Isaac. Isaac, who's like another level of a striker. So I'm just a bit confused from there. And I'm thinking we could have used them funds because we have got Cunha, Mbumo and Breno who could play. Mbumo who could play as a 10. Bruno who could play as a 10. Late night for me last night, this morning. So could we have kept Højlund? Could we have made do with somewhat another 30 million buy who's more of a target player, a target striker? Perhaps. But anyway, we had to deal with what we've got now. But, I'm thinking, have we really turned the corner? People saying, why wasn't Lenioro starting? You know what? Although it looks like he's great on the ball, he's a Rio Ferdinand Rolls Royce, beautiful to watch. I just think sometimes when we need the solid tanks there, I think Maguire and De Ligt was just like having two tankers there, and Shaw as well, or three tankers, heavyweight tankers, which just offers some kind of defensive wall, defensive block, and they're not going to get caught, although Shaw does sometimes, they're not going to get caught further upfield and out of position. That's my thinking behind that. And he still changed another defender later on, which he seems to do. And look, defenders, yes, they do get psychologically tired, mentally tired, as opposed to physically tired. But I think it's really healthy if you just get a defensive line to finish the game. I just really think that is more healthy. So they do get that clean sheet. Well, in this case, not a clean sheet again, but they do get their minutes together. Mazraoui, great game. From reading the stats, he had 7 duels and he won all 7, both on the ground and in the air. And he just had a really solid game. And Dorgu did better, but again, there's a couple of scenarios, situations where he's got that powerful burst upfield. He carries the ball, and then the end product just isn't there. And he was out-muscled a couple of times, which is strange. Chelsea are quite athletic and powerful. So he did struggle in that aspect, but he looked a bit more solid. But again, we was against 10 men for half a match. So look, I thought if Chelsea had 11 men all through the match, 11 v 11, I think we could have then judged it. Is this going to be the turning point? Did we get a point or did we beat Chelsea? But now I think we're going to wait until the Brentford match to really see if it is the turning point, because this game was just weird and I don't think we can properly judge it right now. But the more points Amorim picks up, the more momentum we get, the more kind of settled things become, getting closer to Martinez recovering. Can we put Martinez in as a defensive midfielder just until the January window? Martinez has a few attributes where he could fit in there, and at least probably he's not bad on the ball either, Martinez, where we could then put either Mount next to Martinez, or if we want to just kill the game, Martinez and Ugarte, or Martinez and Casemiro, push Bruno up to a 10 then. I don't know how it's going to work out, but we've got that momentum behind us now. We've got 3 points. So I think the Brentford game is going to be the big tell. Can we make it till January, where we've got to go big and we have got to get at least one of the 3 midfielders I mentioned? Anderson is a little bit further forward playing. So either Wharton or Wheaton? Sorry, I pronounced his name wrong, from Palace, or Belieber. I would like to get both of them, and also Anderson. Let's go absolutely big if we're going to do this properly. But we're in there. We've got 3 points. League table's looking a bit closer, as opposed closer to a relegation zone. We're now a few points away from Champions League place. Come on, United. I believe we can get some consistency now if we get a good run against Brentford, Sunderland, going into the Liverpool match, which is going to be a massive one. Let's get stuck into it.